Most of what we call anxiety is really just fear. Gut wrenching fear that we are absolutely terrified to admit as the fact because anxiety feels vague. It feels socially acceptable and it feels easier to say. But fear makes you feel weak when in fact owning the fear can be one of the strongest things that you can do. And I learned this in a really hard period of my life where I had a complete shift in literally everything about my life over the course of a couple of months. And in putting this script together, a lot of my scripting ends up being rough prompts from everything I put together, and then I just ad lib and blast things out. But this story needs some structure and it needs the black and white words of what I've put pen to paper on. So I'm actually going to read them word for word. This period of my life started during lockdown. And in the run up to that period, I'd been in a long term relationship almost 5 years. Me and that person had planned a trip to a European city on the run up to when lockdown kicked in March. And as I'm sure you all know, because this is 2020 that I'm talking about, a lot of things didn't happen in the world in March 2020. That trip was the first domino. She didn't want to go. I did. Travel restrictions came in, and that built a physical distance between the two of us, which turned into an emotional distance because we lived just far enough apart that visiting wasn't really allowed. And her family didn't want me around because of the Wu-Tang flu. They were scared that if I came over to visit and broke those restrictions, that there could be legal ramifications or they may become sick even though I was healthy and didn't have it. But we're not going to make this a video about that time in life. We all know what that was like. But life felt paused. But underneath, things were shifting. I threw myself into work, which at the time was building out a whole different business than what we do right now. And I told myself I was building my future with that person. But the truth was, I was actually scared. I was scared that I was wasting my potential. I was scared that I was wasting her time in a relationship that I did not know that I was not fully in anymore at that time. Most days, I would walk for hours to clear my head. I would find quiet spots by the water, tucked away in nature, and I'd sit alone and think for hours, trying to force myself to feel what I thought that I should feel, because that's what I thought the social convention was supposed to be. I'm in this relationship, or promised that it's going to be for life, and I have to make myself feel that. Over time, I started to notice something really important, that I was enjoying my time with my friend Anna, just a friend, and that's an important point for later in the video, more than I enjoyed time with my at the time partner. And I didn't fully understand it yet. I just felt more alive around Anna. Then the moment the bomb drop happened. And don't worry, no sensors, the non actual bomb didn't do anything crazy. A very good friend of mine, Mr. DPF, invited me to a breathwork session with a very good friend of his, Mr. Paddy Douglas, to do some Wim Hof. It was in a spare room in his house that he turned into a ceremony space. It was a dark room with some incense burning. Three of us laid down on those mats. And once the breathing started, the outside world disappeared. Total silence, total darkness, and then a vision of clarity. If you've never done Wim Hof breathing before, this is going to sound like gobbledygook because you're like, what are you talking about? You're breathing. We all breathe. Wim Hof breathing can put you into a state where you can receive downloads from your higher self, higher power, whatever you may believe in, or you can just have a physical release. But in this moment, when everything was dark and I couldn't hear anything around me, I was just in the moment of breath at the end of a fifth round of going deep with that breath cycle. I saw my future. I saw a life with Anna. I saw family. I saw business. I saw freedom. I saw joy. It wasn't just a thought. It was like something got downloaded into my body. Complete clarity. First thought when I came out of it was, this has been in front of me the whole time. Because in the 6 weeks of me getting to be a friend with Anya, this was sitting in front of me the whole time, and my conscious mind couldn't allow me to see it. So the breath allowed me to see what I so stupidly could not see in front of my face. So the next day, I met my at the time partner in a nearby park. The sunny day, we walked, we talked about nothing, we sat in the grass far from everyone. I remember the smell of my own tears as I told her it was over. I felt sadness because I cared about her and I still care about her now, but also a deep sense of clarity. I told her I needed to figure myself out, that she deserved to be happy, but I didn't tell her the full truth because fear was setting in where most people would place the word anxiety. Fear that I'd already seen where my future lay. I held that bit back out of fear because I didn't want to hurt her further. She even asked, "Is this because you want to be with Anna?" And I didn't have it in me at the time. I was too scared to tell her the truth and upset her further. And that's the core of it. It wasn't anxiety that I'd been feeling for months, it was fear. Fear that people would think that I'd cheated. Fear that I was repeating the sins of my father. Fear of the judgment from my colleagues, friends, from my mother. I didn't want to be the villain in somebody else's story. And that's a huge problem for a lot of us because we're worried about what other people are going to think. We're not worried enough about what we're going to think about ourselves. So the insight from this is, and I don't want to make this generalizations because I like to speak in I's, but I think this is important to put in the context of generality. This is where so many men will say, "I'm anxious," because it's safer, it's softer. Saying "I'm afraid" feels too raw. It feels too exposing, and anxiety becomes a fog. Fear is specific. Fear, it's the opportunity for you to actually see what's wrong, take hold of it, and fix the problem. Or it can be a lot easier to be vague and say, "I just feel anxious and I might need medication from the doctor." And rather than me just make this a big trauma dump of a video, I want to actually give you a reflection tool and a bit of a framework for how you can get past being stuck in this anxiety versus fear balancing act. The next time that you think you can clarify what you're experiencing as anxiety, I want you to stop and ask yourself, what am I actually afraid of here? What is the outcome that I'm avoiding? What is the thing that's actually making me feel that twitchy butterfly feeling in my stomach, like I'm about to shit my pants, like my skin is tingling? And we all know what anxiety feels like. The next time you're feeling that out of nowhere, is it fear of rejection? Is it fear of failing? Is it fear of being seen as weak? Is it fear of hurting somebody? Is it fear of being honest? For me, it was a fear of perception of everybody I knew. It's fear of becoming the man that my father was in the bad ways. There's a lot of great things about that man, but it was a fear of being perceived as the worst parts of him. It was fear of letting people down. Once I named that, I could actually deal with it and move on with my life. Even now, years later, because I'm not trying to say that that's cured all, because you will never completely cure that as long as you care about things in this world and want progress. Fear shows up today and it still tries to hide itself behind the word anxiety. And I fight every single day to not allow that to happen. I love Anna. We live together. I'll propose to her next year. But that old anxiety, when it creeps in, it's the fear of not providing the life that we've envisioned together. And underneath that, childhood wiring that when I think something good is about to happen, that for a long time in my life meant something bad was about to happen. That's its own whole separate video. But that means in my brain, success equals loss, good things equals pain. And naming that fear is the only way I can show up to start running the show. Anya actually sent me a voice note this morning reminding me of that when I'm sitting down to do my work at the desk. I need to be in control. In order for me to be in control, I need to be able to name what I'm feeling. So if you're stuck in that fog and calling it anxiety, ask yourself, what am I afraid of? Name it. Give it a vision, give it a picture, give it a villain you can take hold of and deal with. Because once you name it, you can face it, and that's where your power begins. If this is the first time that you're seeing me, I'm sorry that I spent a lot of this video looking down, but I felt that this one needed the word for word writings that I put to paper. My name is Matt. I am the Better Man Coach, and we're running the Better Man program where I'm trying to help men to learn to deal with their emotions the way that we were never taught as kids. Because I, for one, am fed up feeling like a piece of shit and letting emotions run my life when I can't even name them. So if that's the kind of thing that you're into, subscribe to the channel, Comment if this resonated with you and tell me what kind of issues you're trying to deal with so I can make videos about them. And at the very least, if you like the video, and if you want to follow more of what I do, I'm sure somewhere down there in the description I've put a link to Instagram and all that other stuff. I hope this brought you value. I hope this is initiating you to sort something out in your life that you know you can win at. And I've got nothing but love for the people that watch these videos. Thank you so much for giving me your time. I'll see you in the next video.